Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Excel Today. It has been a while. It's gonna be a while again, unfortunately. Joe is just crazy busy teaching all the time. I've looked at his schedules, guys. Like we barely fit this time in this week to get him here today. So I just want to thank you, Joe, for making the time to come today. I know schedule's just been crazy packed. I know we want to talk about Python loops and everything like that today. So yeah, really looking forward to it. And man, you know, something I noticed that we totally forgot to do. We've been kind of skipping on it. The mugs, bro. I brought it back.
Wait, hold on. Because of the mug, give me 2 seconds, everyone. I have to bring this one.
Yeah. And everyone, this is our Excel Today mug. You can purchase it in the link below if you want to support us and everything like that. If you like what the channel's doing, you know, buy a mug. That's a huge way to support us. But today we will be talking about Python loops. I know Joe's running to go get something. Python has been really big in the news today, especially since it's now integrated with Excel. So it's a big deal to a lot of people and everything like that. Oh, Yoda, nice. Oh no, not Yoda. What's the? Oh man, Mandalorian. Yeah, I always forget the little one's name.
These are my favorites.
Hey Munchie, how's it going? I hope I said your name right. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, or good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it might be. Yep, good evening, Maha. Yep, good evening, Maha. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're really excited to be back. Honestly, it's been way too long since we've done a show. I miss talking to you guys, missing being able to have the interaction with you guys, and also just miss thanking you guys. Like, you know, honestly, thank you everybody who's been supporting the channel. It's been amazing. The past few months have been really solid for us. So I just really want to thank everybody for all their support. Hey, Bodhisattva, God of Intelligence, good evening as well. Thank you all for joining us. So yeah, thank you everybody for the support. And you just to segue right into what I wanted to talk about today as far as the channel updates go. Guys, we do have memberships available now. So here on YouTube, you can join and become a member if you really like what we're doing here and everything like that. $1.99, you can become a member. The membership does give you access to all of our full course videos, which are our most popular videos now, as those full course videos. We have the ad-free versions available for $1.99. So I know something that people always say is, man, you guys have a lot of ads in your videos. I would, you know, if you want to cut it out, $1.99, and you get access to all of them. They're all there, and they're a separate section. You log in, you click on the members tab, and there's going to be all the videos right there, ad-free for you. And it's a great way to support us so that we can keep creating great content for you guys. Honestly, it's really helps us to get a baseline to produce new videos, create new course outlines, everything like that, and get new stuff to you guys. So yeah, super excited about all that. So if you guys, there's a join buttons right down there. Like, subscribe, but you know, if you really want to support us, hit that join button, and it's been huge. I know, and I want to thank our first 20 members who've joined already. We launched it a few days back, and so just a soft launch, so to speak. You guys will be hearing about it a lot more going forward in all of our videos and stuff like that. But just want to thank all of our current supporters, and also anyone who's watched a video or anything like that. You've really helped us. It's amazing. So I just want to thank everybody for all the support and everything like that. And with all that said, Joe, we're talking about Python loops today, right? And I was just kind of into it about how Python is all the rage right now because it's getting into Excel. That's integrating. Yes. And yes, guys, we will have a video about that. It's just we like to wait for stuff to kind of permeate out because it just got launched. You know, the standards for how it's going to be used in business and how it's going to be in the office hasn't been really set yet. And so once that standard kind of gets solidified more, that's when we jump in and make a video about it, because then it's actually going to be more relevant for you. I mean, if you just start going into like, let's say you want to do Python right now, but you jump into a place where they're just like, it's VBA all the way, and have like all these workbooks and macros going that are, you know, basically foundational to how they do business, it's going to be a lot harder to, you know, to use that Python knowledge. So that's why we I know there's a lot of videos about it already and everything like that, but you know, that's it. It hasn't used in the office. Yeah, how it's going to be used in the office effectively. That standard hasn't been set yet, but once it is, we will definitely get that into a video. And then also, we will be updating our core videos. They'll come out next year, honestly. It's going to be Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, all that. We are waiting for the Copilot rollout to us. We haven't gotten access to it yet, but once we do, we're going to be integrating that as well. You know, how to use Copilot to do Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and everything like that better. And also, there will be ChatGPT portions as well integrated into the courses as well. Just so we know AI is coming in. It's not going to take your job, guys. It's going to make you. It's going to help you do your job better, more quickly. Yeah, so we're gonna be hopefully show you how to use AI to get a lot more work done a lot faster. So anyway, sorry for the long introduction and dominating the first few minutes of this. I could talk forever. Everybody knows that. So I want to hand it over to Joe, though. Joe, how's it going, man? How's Python?
Oh, Python's amazing. Yeah, talking about that integration, there's besides that Python integration with Excel, I've been just seeing some of these things like searchable lists, you know, for data validation, adding pictures into pivot tables where you can now upload pictures straight into the cell. Some of these things are just so amazing. So I've just been doing a lot of research on that, a lot of trainings, and yeah. Today we're talking about, I'm going to try to get through for loops because for loops are very popular. I will talk a little bit about while loops. I don't know if I'm going to get into things like continue or break. Those are things that are really important in loops as well. But, you know, we only have 30 minutes here for the show. So we'll see how far we go. If we only get to like for loops today, then we'll do another show on while loops, and then we'll get into all those different continuous breaks, things like that, and pass. All right. So yeah, let's get into it. I love for loops. You will see them in any type of code, whether you're doing like a gaming code, whether you're doing a search code, where it doesn't matter if it's business related, if it's you know, recreational. You will always see loops in there. It's one of the foundations of building a Python code. So I have a great little, just a couple of examples. If you want to follow along with me, I am using what's known as a Jupyter notebook. You can find this for free on anacondacloud.com. I might even just log in so you can see how I log in. That way, if you do want to create a free username, all you need is the username and passcode, and you can start to code for you know, free in a nice little notebook. So let me share my screen.
I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to Anaconda Cloud for everybody. I was just pulling up there if you saw me on the sides there.
Awesome.
There you guys go. There's the link for it. All right. Sweet. And then also, just a quick reminder, guys, we do have our Python videos if you want to learn more. They're on the channel, Python Beginner, Python Advanced. Great for getting a foundation for Python. And jump into, you know, I know there's more advanced videos out there, but we do have a great place to get foundation. All right, there we go. All right, Joe, the show is yours.
Awesome, thanks. All right, so let's get over to a Jupyter notebook. I'm just gonna open up Google real quick. And I believe I have it somewhere here. It is in one of my drop downs here. Maybe not in this one. Maybe it is in this one, I don't know. Either way, it is Anaconda on the cloud, or code in the cloud, something like this. So this is what's the setup for it. If you do have Anaconda just downloaded, I like the cloud version because you're able to actually code into the cloud. If you don't have access to download this, or maybe your company just doesn't let you, you know, you're more than welcome to just do it on the cloud where you don't have to code anything. So this is just a way for you all to get here, code in the cloud, and you can get started for free, sign up, it'll bring you right here. And then you'll see I'm already in my notebook here. So I will sign in. Well, you know what? Actually, let's see if I could just, yeah, I'll sign in here real quick. And I'll sign in with Google because it's a lot easier. And that's how simple it is. You just honestly just click in. You'll see it'll ask you for more like information. You'll get started. You can go in here. You have learnings, things of that nature. So I really do like this. I'll just launch the notebook. And here we go. It's going to take forever because, you know, that's what it does. And if it does take forever for me, I'll just load my Anaconda. But this one's really nice. Like I said, it's free. You don't have to download anything. Yeah, this one's taking forever. So I'll just use my personal one. There we go. If you do download, by the way, the actual one like this, the Anaconda Navigator, it's just going to run the scripts on it. What I love the most about it is you don't get only the Jupyter notebook, but you get everything along with it. Now, this is something that is really important. You'll see once it loads, where not only do you pre-write your code, but you can also run your code through like SQL. You can integrate a lot of different other codes to it and play around with it. So they have a bunch of plugins here, and you can always add more if you want. And it's loading all my applications. So this is what it looks like for me, but once again, you'll be in the cloud. And what I'm using right now is the Jupyter Notebook, but just so you can see a couple of these, they have like Data Spell, they have PowerShell, they have Qt Console, Spider, right? This is a really nice one here that I play with. But today, keeping it super simple. You can even add more of these in here. I'm just going to load my Jupyter Notebook. You can do a Jupyter Notebook. There it is. All right. So this is what it looks like when you first launch it in the actual navigation. You can create your own, and I'll just run through. You can create your own files, or you can access any of your files or save any of these. I personally just have my Python stuff where I use all of this. And then what you can do is just create a new notebook. So I am currently coding in Python 3. So this is the most up-to-date Python as of right now. It'll load it in here. And there we go. So once you're in here, it's going to look very similar. You might have a couple extra things on the left-hand side, like a navigation. But what I want to talk to you about right now is really just what looping does for us, right? So a for loop is a program structure that allows you to execute a block of code repeatedly. And typically it's for a certain amount of times, and it runs through, it's known as iterating through. So for example, a for loop will iterate through, which means repeatedly execute that block of code through a list or a string. It can even go through tuples, but there are special things with tuples, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So let me just show you an example. If you're like, Joe, you're speaking a whole different language, no worries. So at this moment, what I would do for a for loop is first off, come up with a variable and create a list. So I'm just going to name my list whatever. I'll keep it simple. I'm going to call list numbers. I'm going to make that equal to a list of data. It's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Something simple like this. Now to iterate through these, let's say that I wanted to print out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, what I would do is I would use a for loop. So we start off with our keyword, which is for, and then what we need to do is create a variable. Now this variable can honestly be whatever you want. It could be Ben, it could be Joe, it could be anything. But you will notice that a lot of times people will use num, right? A lot of programmers will do that. And num just indicates that it's going to be a number variable. We could say for num in our list, which is called numbers. What we want to do is iterate through that list and just simply print those numbers. So essentially what's happening here is this. We have a list of data, just a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're saying for num, it could be anything in numbers. It's going to iterate through each one. So this one is now going to become the num. So it says for number 1 in numbers, print number 1. Then it's going to go back and loop it. See where the loop takes place? It's going to loop it and now start off with 2. It's going to say for 2 in numbers, print 2. And it's going to keep iterating through this list until it gets to the end and the list is over. So if I run this right now, this is what it will look like. Now, to actually run this, you can either click on the run button here, or you're more than welcome to use the shift enter, and that will run your code. So I like to use that a lot because it's a lot easier. Shift plus enter. And that's for Jupyter Notebook. Every coding, every notebook has its own type of syntax that it'll run through. It has its own type of commands, shortcuts. So just check first. It might not work for every single one, but for Jupyter, it's shift enter. Now at this point, We can even trade out our variable to print whatever we want. For instance, I don't have to just print the numbers, like 1, print 1, 2, print 2. I could just simply say that I want to print my name, Joe. I can write Joe in there. Make sure you put it in a string of text. And I could say, I want you to print Joe 5 times. Pretty cool, right? So all it's doing is iterating through. It's saying, okay, for 1 in numbers, print Joe. So it says Joe. For 2 in numbers, print Joe. So it just repeats that code. All right. Now we can combine these loops, of course, with if and else statements. Now I love if and else statements because it allows for us to have logic in our code. So we could say, if this is happening, then do this. If not, do something else, or do something else, or something else. So that's where if and else come through. So what we can do is this. Let's say that we want to create a list. I'm going to name it numbers again. I know I'm pretty boring in my naming convention, but I'm going to create a list 1 through 10. Now you can do it 2 different ways. You can either write like range, and then you can do a range to 10, which always remember that when you're looking at a list, it's counting the 0 as a placeholder. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you wanted actual 10 numbers, you would have to do 11. But for me, just to keep things simple for today, if you're very new to coding, we'll create a list the old-fashioned way, and we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right? So we have a list of data. It's called numbers. It's just 1 through 10. And I'm going to say that for num in my numbers list, right, what I want to do is say that if the num, right, so if 1, we're starting with the first iteration, for 1 in numbers, if that 1, and we'll say is a mod 2, which means it's divisible by 2. If that's true, well, then what we can say is this. We want to print, and we'll say something like that num, we'll put a comma, and then we'll say is even. See how I did that? So all I'm saying that, okay, we're going to take the 1. If it says 1 in number, if that 1 is divisible by 2, and it divides by 2, and it comes up with a remainder of 0, then print that number, which would be 1, and say 1 is even. Now we know that's not true. So we have to come up with what's going to happen if it's not true. If the 2 runs through this, it will say 2 is even. But if the 1 runs through this, what do we want it to say? Well, in that case, that's why we're going to use an else statement as well. So I'm going to say else, and we'll say print none, and then we'll do is odd, because, well, if it's not even, then the only other thing it could be is odd. And when I run through this, you'll see 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, 4 is even, because it's running through each iteration of this list, which is nice, and it's comparing it. If the number 1, it runs through first, okay, it's odd. If 2, it's even. If 3, it's odd. If 4, it's even, and so on and so forth. Now, another example, besides just using numbers, because, well, we've been using numbers, we can say something like, maybe we want to look through an iteration of a string of text, right? So let's say we have a list of text. We'll just keep the naming very simple. We'll call it words. If words is equal to, let's say, I don't know, together, right? We're all together. Maybe YouTube, right? Since we're on YouTube, we'll say Ben's name, Ben, right? And then let's do one more. Let's say wonderful. Okay. So now what I want to do, and make sure you put that in a string of text, unlike what I just did. Okay. So now what we want to do is iterate through this list, and we can create something to see if the length of the word is greater than 6, maybe it'll be short, or a long word. And if it's not greater than 6, then it'll be a short word. So I'm going to create a for loop again and say for, and once again, you can create any variable you want. I'm going to use word. For word and words, right? Because our list is called words. If we're going to use a awesome an awesome function here. It's going to be a len. And you've probably used this before if you've used Excel. We have a len function. Len just simply is going to return how many characters there are. If you don't know what the len function does, you can always wrap this in a help, and it'll tell you what len does, but I've already told you, so we don't have to do that. We'll say that if len of the word, right, the iteration of each one, is less than 6, we'll say, then what I want you to do is print that word. So we're going to print the word, and we're also going to just simply say is a short word. And then we can do the else, right? Because if it's not short, what's it going to be? It's going to be probably a long word, right? So we'll say word, we'll say is a long word, something like that. Right, so how this is going is it's going to take together. That's what word is now. Word is equal to together in that list. If the length of together is less than 6, print short or else print long. Together is a long word. YouTube is a long word. Ben is a short word. Wonderful is a long word. Pretty cool. So that's how you can do it with a numeric list or a string of texts. Now, not only that, we can also just use strings. You don't have to like write the string first and then use the for loop. You can incorporate it. So for instance, I could say for word in, and then I could just put in whatever the string is. I could say like, hi, everyone, something like that. And then I'm just going to print the word. Now, remember, it's going to iterate through each of these. So what's going to happen is it's going to go like this. It's going to iterate through H, I, E, because word is now becoming H is word, I is word, E is word. Even the space is counted. Now, I know before I just brought this up quickly. I said that we'll get into tuples real quick. So tuples have our pairs, right? And what we can do is tuples and loops have a very special relationship. See, where we can use a string of text or we can use a list, in loops, we can use tuples and we can unpack the tuples. So I want to showcase this because I know some of these terms you might be like, Joe, I don't know what a tuple is. Or if you saw our first take on Python, I kind of explained each type of really element in Python, whether it's a float number or it's a string of text or it's going to be some sort of logic. So if you want to take a look at that, we do have that up. But let's go through a tuple example. So let's say that I want to create a list of tuples and I'm doing some sort of like pricing for fruit. I don't know, I'm making it up. So we'll call it just fruits. And we'll say fruits is equal to a list. And inside that list, we're going to have tuples. All right. So tuples can be represented with our parentheses. And we'll first say that apple, right? We'll put our comma. And we'll say apples are going to be 50 cents. That looks good. So that's our first tuple right here. So that's a tuple right here. We're just creating a list of tuples. That's why you see the square brackets to show it's a list. And then inside of that list is one tuple. This together makes a tuple. So we have one tuple. We'll then put our comma. Let's create another one. We'll do, I don't know, banana. Let's say bananas are 25 cents. I know I'm going cheap on the prices here. Let's do, I don't know, cherry. Let's say that a cherry is going to be 75 cents. And let's do 2 more. You know what I found out was it's funny enough, you know what I found out what a fruit is? Eggplant. Look it up, I swear, I couldn't believe it. Eggplant is a fruit. I don't know if you all knew that, but I definitely didn't know that. So yeah, I'll use that as an example. Eggplant, we'll make that $1.05. And let's do one more. We'll do a date. Has anyone ever had dates? So good. And we'll say dates are going to be $1. All right, there we go. So we have our list of tuples here. Apples, 50 cents, bananas, 25, and so on and so forth. Now, when I said before that, tuples have a special relationship, it's because we can unpack them. So let's say we're doing a for loop. We'll say for, we'll call it item. Remember, this could be anything. I could say for Joe, right? But just choose something that makes sense and stays consistent within the code. So I say for item in my fruits list. I'm going to say print the item. Now, if I run this right now, it's just going to print my list of tuples, right? And we've seen this before when we did the first one. For numbers, print, and then instead of that, we said num, and it just prints the list out. Same thing here. We're just saying for item for this first item, because this is a whole item right here. This is one item, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. So now it's just printing them. But as I said before, tuples have special relationships with for loops. They can be unpacked, which means we can extract values from the tuple and assign them to individual variables. This is something that's really amazing in coding. So let me showcase what I mean by that. Let's say that I want to unpack these tuples. Well, what I can do here is I can say, instead of for item in fruits, I can say for item, since it's a tuple, you can only do this with a tuple, for item, comma, and I can say price. And what that's doing is it's assigning a variable individually. Item is now becoming the apple, banana, cherry, eggplant, dates, while price is now becoming 50 cents, 25, 75, $1.50, $1. So you see how we're splitting them, we're unpacking them, right? So that's what I love so much is now I can say for item price in fruits, print item. And what's going to happen? It's only going to print my items, right? And if I want to look up just the pricing, I can either print items or pricing. I could say, you know what? Instead, let me see my price. How cool is that, right? Another thing that we can do, I think this is something that's really nice for loops, is working with dictionaries. So I showed you how we can work with our numbers, our integers. I showed you how we can work with a string of text with integers, right? Strings, integers. I showed you how we can work with tuples. Now I want to show you dictionaries. And once again, if you want to know what all of these different elements are, we do have our other, I forget how far back we had it then, but we had our YouTube show about Python and all the different elements there. So let's do dictionaries. Let's create a dictionary. I'm going to just call it store. Let's pretend we own a store. And in our store, the way that we can define a dictionary is with our curly brackets. And it's very similar to the way we were doing like tuples, except with dictionaries, there's always going to be a keyword and then a key value. So a key and then a value assigned to it. So let's call this one, the keyword will be shirt, because we're going to sell a shirt. And we'll sell that shirt for 20 bucks. Let's also add in here pants. Of course, we want to maybe sell some pants. And we'll say the pants are 30 bucks. And then let's do a hat. Maybe we'll sell a hat. The hat's going to be 10 bucks. Let's do maybe like 2 more. Let's do shoes, of course. We need shoes. And the shoes are going to be 50 because, well, I think that's like the average price. And then the last one we'll do is a jacket. And the jacket will be 40 for being fair on our prices. So what we've just done is created a dictionary. Now, inside of this dictionary, we're going to use our for loop. We could say for item in store, right, in our list. So for variable in store. Now I could say print item. And that's what it's going to look like. It's just going to print the items. Now you might be wondering, wait a second, Joe, why is it not going to return the value? Well, it's important to note that in dictionaries, it will always return the key instead of the value in for loops. If you do want to get both, we can use a built-in function known as .items. And these are just different like methods and functions that are pre-built into Python. So for instance, we could say instead of for item in store, we would say for item in store dot. And if you, once you put a period in there, once you put your period, you can press the tab key and you can see all the different methods and functions you have access to. We're going to choose items. And now when we print item, watch what happens. And let's see, it's saying it's not iterable, right? So the reason this is happening is because I'm saying for the item in the store.items without my parentheses. You will notice that when you use a function, it's going to say that it's not iterable because we're just putting it in as .items. You always have to remember here, and it'll even tell you, Joe, you're missing, right? And I'll say, oh, you're right, just like that. Now, once we run this, it's going to run beautifully. So always look at those syntax errors. They're really important, especially if you're using any type of function or method. You have to include those parentheses with it. So now that I've done that, you can see it's returning it as tuples. And wait a second, what did we just learn about? Tuple unpacking. So yes, even though tuples are the ones that have a special relationship with for loops, you can still use it with combination to our dictionaries. Pretty cool. So we can now also do the unpacking with our tuples, and maybe I just want to get the values. I don't know. So I can say for item, and I could do price, for item, comma, price, and store.items, because now it's turning them into tuples, print item. Boom, shirt, pants, hat, shoes, jacket. Or I can say, you know what? I want to see the price. 20, 30, 10, 50, 40. Pretty amazing. So I hope you enjoyed that. I know we didn't get to while loops because I wanted to show you an example of each, but if you really liked this content, right, then what we can do is go over while loops, right? Because right now, for loops, we learned can iterate over a sequence of items such as tuples or lists or dictionaries, and we can perform operations on each item in turn. In a while loop, you can iterate if a certain condition is met. So we could say, while this is happening, iterate through the list. Once it reaches a certain point, stop. We'll also be able to, if we do while loops, I think we can also talk about statements that accompany our loops. There's three main statements. There's pass, continue, and break. I really do love these. They help out a lot. They really do. In terms of if you don't know if you're going to run any code or you don't know exactly what you're doing, you can use pass until you're ready to fill it in. So it's sort of like a placeholder. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And all right.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. I know you went a little bit over. Thank you for the extra time. It was great seeing all that. Let me go ahead and boom, your camera's off. So
oh.
Yeah.
Let me see what's going on.
Technical difficulties. But anyways, thank you so much, Joe. And just want to, thank you again for coming in and on loops. Yeah, so I went ahead, guys, and I dropped the link to, Joe did mention the data types. I dropped the link to our previous show on data types. And I also put in the link there, our full Python course, which is on our channel, 3+ hours of Python training available. Gives you an excellent foundation to, as an introduction to Python and everything like that. We are looking into building a more robust Python class. Looks like some sun's coming in. You see that line right on my hat. Anyways, thank you again, Joe, for all that. And just a reminder, guys, if you guys love what you're seeing, like, subscribe, comment. It all helps us And if you really want to support the channel, click that join button and become a member. But other than that, unfortunately, we don't have time for questions as we're way over. So yeah, that's it, guys. Hopefully we'll see you soon. We're going to try to schedule another show sooner rather than later. But I don't want to make any promises to you guys right now that, on a set date or anything like that, just because things change very quickly with here at Learnit. So it could change it as soon as we set it. It could change. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. And just quick reminder, we do have the live event, strategic goal setting, tomorrow, and then also the Tableau data visualization expert will be premiering tomorrow as well. So have a great weekend, guys. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.